Well, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. And clearly, we're on a snow day here, which is cool, I guess. Got my cabinets painted. Got that in it. They were brown before, like a wood. Painted them gray. All right, moving on here. Bellringer for today. Describe the significance of the Holly Schmoot tariff and what this tariff is designed to do. Was it successful? So give you a few seconds, pause the video, write down your response, and I'll go over it in 3, 2, 1. All right, the Holly Schmoot tariff was designed by politicians and economists at the time of the 1920s, late 1920s, moving into the 1930s after the Great Depression to try to spur economic activity. And the plan was, well, if we raise taxes, put a tariff on imported goods, then it's more likely that the American citizen inside the United States would buy, that product that is made at home in America, in the United States, right? So that was the idea. Okay, so you go to the market, you see a car there. Let's say you're buying cars, you see the American-made Ford Model T. You're going to buy that because it's cheaper. It's American-made compared to competitors in the European market, where that tariff would increase that price. So that was the plan, and President Hoover signed off on it, not thinking of the repercussions that might occur from it. And we all know what happened there is that these European markets, the world market, decided to do the same thing, put tariffs on American goods coming to the United States or coming to their country from the United States. So with that being said, this started trade wars. This started to push countries to focus on themselves and to really not cooperate with one another. And this allowed Germany to really kickstart their economy and direct it towards military efforts. And there was no League of Nations strong enough to stop them from doing so. And because the world was in an economic depression, it kind of led to this extremist views really being prompted onto the people, especially in Italy, Germany, Soviet Union, and with Japan and their imperial country, right? So the Holly Schmoot tariff, again, trade wars. This was pretty much putting tariffs on imported goods in the United States, hoping that Americans would buy American products, boost the economy, help keep workers working in the U.S. That was the goal, but it just totally folded. And a lot of people say this is one of the causes to World War II. All right, there you go. Vocab for today. We had the Great Depression, Black Tuesday, and breadline. So Great Depression period, 1929, all the way up until the start of World War II. The United States was going through strong times in the 1920s, and then right when 1929 stock market hit, crashed, right? The Great Depression took hold, and there's a lot of different forms of aid and help, benefits that came during this time under FDR's reign, FDR's presidency, where he tried to push the New Deal, which we'll talk a little bit more about maybe towards the end of the week. Black Tuesday, we already know that. That is the stock market crash, October 29th, 1929. Breadline, we talked about that as well. It came to a point where people couldn't afford food. People couldn't afford living. They're out in the streets. We talked about the Hoover flags. People walk around with their pockets out, Hoovervilles, and they have no way of, life. And breadlines were created in these city centers, town centers, to help try to feed these people. A lot of it because that surplus in food, because agricultural, with the agriculture in the United States. All right, terms for today. Moving on real quick. I know we mentioned it before. Next thing I want to talk about, because agriculture was really taking a hit. We discussed and went over that because of the overproduction, because of a lot of the issues occurring with this overproduction and this surplus in goods, that the prices were so low that many farmers couldn't have they didn't have the ability, the profit to pay off some of the loans from the banks. So you saw a lot of farm foreclosures, uh, especially in the Midwest, okay, in the United States, obviously in the South, because of these farmers had no way of paying back their loans. Because for so long, since World War One, government was telling them to produce as much as possible, buy as much land, buy many tractors and equipment to try to help with our war supply. And then obviously all of a sudden, war is over and no one told them to stop. They kept going. So prices plummeted and profits especially. For a short time, great stuff. Um, it was really increasing the standard of living for many Americans because they had the ability to purchase food at a low price. But now all of a sudden, not really working the best. Okay. And this pushed a lot of farmers because of the government not helping them out at all, not really just giving them any type of assistance to keep their farmland. Because eventually, sooner or later, these crops are going to be depleted. And this issue with this oversupply isn't going to last. And sooner or later, we'll need a way for our farmers to help the people out with food. Okay, it's going to be a problem time. And that's exactly what the farmers did. They decided, you know what? If we're not going to get paid for this, the government's not going to help us or benefit us. We're just going to destroy all our crops. We're going to pour out all of our milk. We're going to destroy any types of food supplies that we have because the government just doesn't care about us, right? Rather than really just trying to give it to these bread lines, these food lines, which many of them did. Maybe in some cases, the government bought a lot of these food sources to help these people out in these bread lines. But after a while, farmers just were sick of it, destroyed all their crops, destroyed all their products because government wasn't helping them. They weren't getting paid and they were losing everything. Okay. It was to a point where this is it. It was almost like animosity and hatred towards the government because they weren't helping them whatsoever. All right, next thing, last thing with Hoover I want to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow, some of his public works programs that were just initiated, being started, and then it'll be really taking steam there when FDR comes in right after Hoover. But Hoover's idea, trickle-down economics, okay? So trickle-down economics is pretty much the idea where government will give tax breaks for these business owners because at the time industries were shutting down. There's oversupply in many of the market, and the government knew that people needed to stay at work. The government knew they needed to have some sort of assistance for the people and give them some sort of jobs and hope and opportunity to make money and spend it out in the economy to boost the economy. So Hoover thought, well, I guess we'll just give tax breaks to these wealthy elite class of business owners, hoping that they would keep their businesses open for the people, okay, to work and make a wage and spend it out in the economy. Okay, even came to a point they're loaning money out to these business owners, but mostly it was through tax breaks. And obviously this created a huge uproar in American society because the working class weren't getting any benefits. Oh, all of a sudden the elite, they're getting loans, they're getting tax breaks, and the workers aren't. And this really drove more of a struggle, a divide, an economic balance, I guess you could say. This was really pushing that distribution of wealth in the opposite direction, where we want to try to keep it and try to almost make it not equal, but closer to equal as possible. And that just drove it even further apart between middle class, elite class, and obviously the lower class. So this didn't work out. Many of the government officials were trying to do their best to try to keep these businesses open. They thought lowering taxes, giving tax breaks to these business owners, even loaning them money to keep their businesses open, didn't work. They said, no, thanks. We're really not going to open up because why would we keep adding to this oversupply? Why would we keep wasting money to create these finalized goods and supplies and products when no one's buying it up? It makes no sense. So that flopped. Didn't work out. So that pushed Hoover to maybe think of a different idea. And we'll talk about some of these government-funded agencies and jobs to try to help provide for the people and give them an opportunity. All right, that's all I got for today. You guys take care. Have a good one. And I guess we'll hopefully see you tomorrow. We'll see.